Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm, a very warm welcome to the HRKatha Futurecast webinar. Today, we explore an exciting and transformative topic, AI and the future of work, navigating uncertainty and unlocking potential. I'm Shubhra Kapoor, and it's my absolute pleasure to host this session on behalf of the HRKatha team and our partner, Adecco. And thank you for joining us today. Artificial intelligence is reshaping industries, redefining skills, and challenging our understanding of work itself. We are here to discuss how AI can unlock potential while helping organizations navigate uncertainties in this evolving landscape. To kick off this exciting discussion, let me invite someone who needs no introduction, the driving force behind HR Katha and a respected voice in business journalism, Mr. Prajal Saha, Editor-in-Chief of HR Katha, for the opening remarks. Over to you, Prajal.
Thank you, Shubhra. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege to welcome you to this edition of HRKatha Futurecast. Today's topic, AI and the future of work, navigating uncertainty and unlocking potential, addresses one of the most transformative shifts we have seen in decades, and one that raises as many questions as it offers possibilities. At HRKatha, we have been closely observing how AI is reshaping industries, roles, and expectations. In one of my recent editorial, I argued that the true challenge lies not in AI itself, but in how organizations choose to use it. AI, at its core, is a tool, powerful but lacking intuition, empathy, creativity, or ethical judgment. These qualities remain uniquely human and irreplaceable. Yet, many companies approach AI as a cost cutting mechanism, focusing on short term efficiency rather than long term growth. This strategy risks creating a culture of fear, one where employees see AI as a threat rather than an opportunity to amplify their skills. What's missing is transparency, collaboration, and a commitment to treating AI as a partner, not a replacement. The true potential of AI lies in its ability to free us from routine tasks, allowing humans to focus on innovation, problem solving, and leadership. But this future is only possible if organizations make deliberate choices, investing in their workforce, fostering adaptability, and ensuring that the human element remains central to their vision. Today's discussion couldn't be more timely. We are fortunate to have an extraordinary panel of leaders who will help us explore how organizations can harness AI responsibly and effectively, unlocking its potential where, while preserving what makes us uniquely human. I encourage you to engage deeply, ask questions, and challenge assumptions. The future of work isn't an either or scenario, it's about finding balance and purpose in a world where humans and machines can thrive together. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to an enriching conversation. Over to you, Shubhra, now to introduce our distinguished panel. Thank you.
And thank you for this wonderful insight, Prajal. Now, I would love to introduce all these great panelists that we have. The first one is Mr. Rajesh Jain, CHRO at Wellspun World. Hi, Rajesh. A seasoned HR leader. A seasoned HR leader with over 25 years of experience in driving business aligned HR strategies and transformational change in a workforce of 30,000 plus employees. Next is Miss Rajita Singh. Hi.
Hi,
She's the
Shubha.
People Officer at Kyndryl, a renowned HR professional with expertise in organizational leadership. Kyndryl, a spin off of IBM, operates globally with 80,000 employees, one third of whom are based in India. Welcome, Rajita. Mr. Deepak Dobriyal. Hi.
Hi, hi.
The Senior Vice President of Global Talent Management at Birla Soft, an expert in HR strategy, M&A integration, and organizational effectiveness. Birla Soft, with over 12,000 employees, prioritizes diversity, equity, inclusion, and corporate social responsibility. Thank you all. Leading today's discussion is Mr. Sunil, Country Manager at Adecco India. Sunil, hi Sunil, is a dynamic leader with over 20 years of experience in shaping organizations and driving business value. Adecco, a global HR solutions company, operates in 60 plus countries with over 5,200 branches worldwide. I'll just unfold the agenda. Here's how today's session will unfold. Our panelists will share their insights on how AI is transforming the future of work. This will be followed by a discussion moderated by Sunil. We'll conclude with a question and answer session. Please drop your questions in the chat box and we'll address as many as we can. So let's get started. Without further ado, let me hand over the session to Mr. Sunil. Over to you. Can't hear you.
Sunil, you're on mute.
Okay. Thank you, Shubhra, and
Welcome.
thank you, Prajal, for the initial introduction. Um, Welcome everyone to the today's webinar. What a fantastic day to have everyone together just before the holidays. I'm sure that everybody is looking forward to the holidays, but I can assure you that today we are really going to have a fantastic discussion which is very important considering the times we are in. So we have heard so much about AI everywhere. In every discussion, I'm sure that you would have heard AI. And when you take AI in relation with workforce, how does AI impact the workforce? Is something which everybody is intrigued. And at Adecco, every year we do a large scale survey to understand various factors which impact the workforce and future of workforce. So 2024, the Global Workforce of the Future survey was done with an aim to understand how does AI impact the world of work or the workforce. So we covered extensively, we surveyed extensively. I'll just take few minutes to present to you our survey results and what are the final findings of this survey, and then we will dive deep into understanding each of the findings in relevance to India, and that's the main focus today. So let me quickly show you. Uh, okay, not able to get that. Shubhra, can I pick it up from my laptop, or should I have to upload this?
Let me just check. I'll just let you know.
Yeah. Okay, in the interest of time, let me quickly run through how the survey went through. So it's fine. I think I can explain you. This there you go. Yeah. So what we did is that we surveyed 35,000 workers across 26 countries, working in around 18 segments. Uh, we covered India also extensively. We got around 2,000 plus survey participants from India. We do this every year, and the results were really amazing. We had five key insights from this extensive survey. The first insight was, the long-term job security. So employees felt that, that it is the responsibility of the employers to ensure that there is a long-term job security is provided to them. We always feel the other way, but the employees felt that, the employer should be the one who should work towards a long term job security. That was the first finding. The second finding, or the second insight, was future ready workers. Surprisingly, we found that across the nations there were quite a number of future ready workers. When we say future ready workers, people who are ready to adopt the change and also be prepared to work in the new way of work with machines and etc. But they also felt that, it's a responsibility of the employers to prepare them, prepare and upskill them so that they are ready. So this was the second finding. The third finding was internal mobility. We often feel that, when we take a chance of moving somebody from one department to other department, we always are worried that, they may not fit in there, or they might quit the job because they may not like the new role. But surprisingly, the survey said that, the employees are interested in looking at an internal mobility, but it's the employers who are not confident enough or not giving the employees the option of internal mobility. They often go and get new talent from outside instead of experimenting with the available resources and moving them within the departments. The fourth finding was AI productivity gains. We found that with AI coming into play in the workforce, there are huge gains, which means that, the impact is large. People are able to complete the tasks at a lesser time, which is leading to, lot of time savings. Time saved is money saved, and it is also increasing the efficiency. The last finding was future of the work. They all wanted to build a trust. AI should be trusted, and the employee should be trusted to work with AI. So they need to be enabled to work with AI. These were the five findings from the survey. Now these findings are further broken down into each country, each industry segment, and there is a detailed analysis in the report. The report will be shared on the chat window by my office, so you can download the report and go through it in detail. What we are going to do today is to discuss, or I have converted these findings into few questions. Our eminent panelists, with such vast experience of handling today, tomorrow, and the changing world of work, I'm sure that they will be able to help us to understand more into how the impact of AI is happening on the workforce. Interestingly, I was recently reading that, Netflix took almost 3.5 years to get the first 1 million subscribers, but ChatGPT took just 5 days to hit 1 million subscribers. That's the space at which the technology or change is adopted in today's world. So with that, at back of our mind, we need to understand, there is always a worry when a new disruption is seen, and when there is something happening at the workplace. We are always worried, is it going to take away our jobs, or is it going to make us do more work, or is somebody else going to do my job? So there is always a worry. So, and this is the time when experienced folks like us, we should discuss more about this, and then try to help our audiences understand what's happening around this space. So I have got few questions from which I would like to uh, ask you all to explain more in detail. Some of them are findings from this survey, and some, of course, as applicable to our workplaces, you can plainly explain it, how it has impacted our workplaces. Yeah. With that, I want to go with the first question. The first question is to let me ask Mr. Rajesh. Uh, India has the highest percentage of future ready employees globally at 19%. As per our survey, uh, the, the, the most future ready workers are available in India, which is 19% compared to any other country. And so, can you let me know how, as leaders, how can we capitalize on this advantage to position India as a global hub for workforce? You're on mute, sir. If you can unmute yourself. Yeah. Mr. Rajesh, you please unmute. Mr. Rajesh, we are not able to hear you. So, I think Mr. Rajesh is traveling. Deepak, can you take this question if you are okay?
Sure, Sunil. Can you just repeat the question for my benefit?
Okay, definitely. So, as per our survey, we found that India has the most future-ready workers, 19% compared to any other country. So, I want to understand how India, how as leaders we can use this available potential to make India a global hub or a
Sure.
global.
So Sunil, so I come from the technology industry, and I think we talk about AI. For us, it's not just a matter of skilling people; it's also the business that we are doing, and working with a lot of our customers around uh, this technology and trying to kind of deploy it for our customers. So one, it is imperative. It's imperative for people to understand tech. And in the technology space today, I mean, forget about people who are actually working on AI, Gen AI kind of projects, but also workforce across. I mean, whether it is HR or finance or any of the functions, everybody is becoming a digital native. They're understanding how to leverage AI and Gen AI. So, since there is a large pool of people who are conversant with this, um, and I'm sure the adoption of technology, being a young country and being a country which is which places a lot of focus culturally on upgrading skills, the adoption of new technologies is extremely fast. Like it's happened for mobile technology, also the adoption has been very fast. So AI and Gen AI also as technologies, I think the adoption has been pretty fast in India. So that's a huge opportunity for us. And looking in the future, obviously AI and Gen AI will provide competitive advantages not just to the companies but nations as such, because I think what is required, in my opinion, is a lot of investment from the government, continued investment on building not just the companies who are building capabilities within to get the competitive advantage, but overall, as a nation, spend a lot on research and development around these technologies, and also in the academia, so that a lot more people in the academia are tuning their syllabus and curriculum to have people who are more future ready churned out from the colleges. So given all of that, I think it's a huge opportunity for organizations and countries like us who are looking to leapfrog in terms of technology, and so I think some of these things will help India as a country kind of leverage this. And this obviously is a limited window for us to leverage, right? The demographic dividend that we have and this advantage that we have, um, with whatever limited resources we have as a country, it's a limited opportunity for us to leverage. If we don't, there are other nations who have huge amounts of money, like, I mean, countries in the Middle East are spending huge amounts of money in trying to not just upskill people in these newer technologies, but are investing hugely in the technology backbone and the technology infrastructure, as well as skilling of people. So they will catch up. So it's a golden opportunity. If we have a head start, we should leverage on that and try and make use of this limited opportunity.
Great insights, Mr. Deepak. I think a couple of points which I could gather from what you mentioned is that one is that India always adopts quickly. You gave the example of mobile technology. Uh, India also skips few lower levels, quickly catches up with a higher level. Like from 3G we went directly to 5G. 4G was very less. So similarly with AI coming in, I think India was quick to pounce on, and
I mean,
it
UPI is a
got,
huge example, Sunil. I mean, the adoption of UPI. I don't think
yeah,
electronic payments anywhere in the world. You can see
yes.
examples better than India of how the common man has adopted that technology and really is leveraging that technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also recognize the fact that India is perfectly designed. We have got so many colleges and universities, and you spoke about demographic dividend. Some good work which has been done by our ancestors in not controlling the population. So today we have a huge workforce. Every year you have more than 12 million workers joining the workforce, which is a great advantage for India. And as you rightly mentioned, government should focus on upskilling and providing better facilities, or future facilities to ensure that AI is properly implemented, and new technologies, not only AI. So if you have all these going well, and if industry, academia, and government work together, I'm sure that we today have 19% future ready workers. Maybe tomorrow we will have more than 50% future ready workforce, and it can definitely make India a global superpower. Thanks,
And
fantastic. I think the survey results,
just a
yeah,
word of yeah, just a word of caution. This is not a limitless opportunity. I mean, this is not,
yeah,
the time window is limited. I mean, we have to do
it's
it in the
time
next,
bound.
yeah, it's 10 to 12 years is where
Yeah.
we have to kind of leverage this. Others are catching up fast.
Yeah, and also we have this next 2 to 3 decades when we have this demographic dividend, which we have to make use of. After that, our fertility rate is already going down. So I'm sure that we will also stare the same challenges what Europe and Japan and China are facing now.
China.
So it's our turn to face that after 3 decades. So I think these 3 decades, one, we have proper infrastructure, we have a huge demographic dividend, and we also have right infrastructure and right focus from the government. So the future ready workforce is only going to increase, and there is no one stopping us to be in becoming the world superpower when it comes to office of the future, I believe. Yeah, thanks, fantastic. I have a second question to since we don't have Mr. Rajesh, I'll go to Rajita. um, So one of the survey results said that Indian respondents reported an average of 70 minutes per day saved because of AI, and this is definitely a very big number compared to any other country. Even if you look at the global average, it said that they could save 59 minutes. As Mr. Deepak explained earlier, India is quick to adopt. Our workers also, our employees are also very quick to adopt. So we already see a 70-minute saving per day. So I would like to understand: are you seeing the impact of this adoption and saved time being implemented or being used in upskilling, reskilling, or are they using it for some productive work? What do you observe in your organization?
Um, so, so thanks for the question. I think like you rightly said, it's a study across. I think it's too early, to say anything from a benefit standpoint or what's happening. But some very high level generic trends, that come out of this is, one is that people are able to focus on higher value tasks, where they actually think they're making the difference. It's not really the mundane work. A little bit more creativity comes in, so there's a lot of, I would say, thought process going on around that, and also enhancing the level of job satisfaction. In between there was this phase where everybody was talking of ikigai, and how every individual is looking for that passion. I think the freeing up of this time using AI essentially helps in that. It also helps in work life balance. Now, I know that work life balance is not a term that's used nowadays. We say work life integration, right? Because we live only one life. But then, my only concern on this is that while you integrate it, you end up doing a lot more work rather than spending time for yourself, because you're actually sitting and doing skill development, you're sitting and doing something else, or you're running a chore that had not happened at home for whatever reasons. You're trying to play catch up. And so I want to split this, the benefit of the free time into, one is the impact on organization productivity, and the other is the challenges that I see coming in. Organization productivity, of course, there's enhanced efficiency. So if you have efficiencies, like say for example in manufacturing or in customer service, how would you essentially optimize the existing processes? So again, the creativity part comes in, so the organization becomes a lot more agile and nimble with regards to what the organization's scope of work is, or what it has committed to its stakeholders. The second point is about faster decision making, right? The impact, is that because there are so many things that happen quickly, the project timelines can essentially be crunched. There is a possibility that you're a lot more flatter, you're a lot more focused, and you're a lot more quicker with regards to how you decide. I think that's huge. And the last is innovation enablement, right? With regards to strategic initiatives, how do you align? Only two things that come in play is that it's the 80-20 rule. We are saying AI, we are saying all the good things about AI, but the fact of the matter is AI is going to take up only so much of work. The rest of the work is still going to be there. So people who are excelling in what they're doing, is that still the risk continues for them to burn out, because of overwork, because they finished something, they got some free time, so they started working on something else. So how is the well-being aspect going to be factored in? And the second is also equitable distribution. Not all employees experience the same gains, as roles are different. And there are certain roles which are manual labor, there are certain which are field work, and there are certain that benefit only when you're sitting at your desk and you're able to do it. So how do you essentially figure those things out is going to become important. And that's what, I think, while we will benefit, I think overall, looking triangulating it from a wellness standpoint, from a growth standpoint, from a how's the organization contributing to society standpoint, all of it needs to come in together, and then we'll be able to see it.
Okay, that's a very good perspective, Rajita. So if I have to pick up few points what you mentioned, one takeaway is that the whatever time is saved, you are saying that it should be utilized not only for organizational productivity, which effectively converts into revenues for the organization, but also it should be allowed, or it should be shared with the employees, so that employees work life integration or work life balance is better. So this is a very important point, because quite often organizations tend to view everything with a lens of making more profits, and in the uh, effort, they also do not care about the work life balance and the stress level. So I think this is a very important point you brought in, that the saved time should be effectively shared between the organization and the employees, so that the one side the productivity goes up and it definitely generates more revenues. On the other side, it also provides enough time for the employees to have a work life integration or have a stress free life. This is a interesting aspect what you brought in. And the third thing you said, that can this be used for the well being of the society, the time what is saved. I would also feel that apart from this, some of the saved time can also be used to upskill, because the technologies are changing at a very fast pace. Every day the technology changes. So can the organization and the employee work on allocating some of the free time to upskill oneself? That's one. And the last point I want to make is that you brought in an important point about the divide. So I would say that AI impact divide is the term which I have realized. So the impact of AI is different at different level of the organization. So at the front level, the impact of AI may be very large. It can ease their workload, it can reduce stress. The impact of AI on the middle level may be slightly less, and the top level it may be quite less. But how do we have a uniform AI impact level is something which organizations should consider. I think three big takeaways for me, and thank you for bringing in such important insights. Thank you. Can we quickly check if Mr. Rajesh is now audible? I have a very important question for him. So Rajesh, can we do a quick check? Hello. uh, I'm not sure if he's still available. So let's look at one more aspect of the survey results. It says that 13% of Indian workers reported job loss due to AI. So I heard somebody saying that AI impact of AI on the jobs is still not visible, but the survey says that there are already 13% of the jobs lost in India, particularly due to AI. So in this context, how should we look at as leaders? How do we address these anxieties? How should we uh, provide more comfort and trust to the employees? So this is a question to Mr. Deepak, if you can take it.
Yeah, Sunil. So I kind of disagree, or I have a different point of view from that.
Okay.
I don't think AI or Gen AI. I mean, essentially, in most contexts, people, don't differentiate between classic AI and Gen AI. But Gen AI is, obviously, and specifically in Gen AI, LLMs is what most people are talking about. LLMs like ChatGPT are going to impact jobs, right? But I think it's, if you ask me, I don't look at this as a jobs crisis. I don't think that the problem that we're talking about is jobs here. I think the essential problem is skills, and skills becoming obsolete. It's the same conundrum that, for some of us who were looking at computerization happening in banks in the 80s and 90s. There were huge strikes across, right? Because people felt that once computerization happens, they'll lose their jobs. But banks are thriving, people are still working in banks. It's not that jobs have gone away. It's the same conundrum when industrial revolution happened, and when railways came, everybody who was, who was owning a horse cart or whatever was used for transport at that time felt that they no longer have jobs. So it's not going to happen like that. The jobs are not going to go away. Yes, the nature of jobs may change. So some jobs may become obsolete going forward. And I think, I was reading the World Economic Forum's Future
Yeah.
of Work report, which they published last year. And I think they
Yes.
were right. It's essentially clerical jobs and jobs which are repetitive in nature, because AI can very easily kind of take that. AI, machine learning, and LLMs can easily replace those jobs. But and you did mention earlier in your opening statement, so it's really a skilling crisis.
Yeah.
Unless we're able to move people and get them to use this technology for better productivity, that's where people will lose out. If I'm an HR person and I say, I'll do only HR, I would not learn about AI. It's for somebody else, to learn AI will become obsolete within HR, right? So it's really about people picking these skills and using these tools. I I can't refuse to use these tools because I'll become obsolete. So it's really about the skilling crisis and the transition people have to make to take these tools. And these tools are extremely powerful. And as they are evolving, and with so much of research happening on quantum computing, XYZ, all of that is mind boggling, right? So a lot of these tools, people who don't leverage it. So for example, prompt engineering in Gen AI was supposed to be a very specialized job. I'm pretty much telling my entire team to learn prompt engineering if they are to, leverage the LLM models much better. So really, it's about skilling, not really about jobs. If we are able to skill people, get them to use these technology and tools, the gains, as Rajita said, would be productivity. They will have more time. They can focus on more higher value jobs, use more innovation can happen, more creativity can come into roles, and so on and so forth. So I think it's a huge opportunity rather than a jobs crisis. That's the way I look at it. Sunil.
Yeah, great insight, Deepak. So, if I have to give some perspective to what you mentioned, there have been quite a few revolutions in the world of work. The first revolution I would say is the industrial revolution, when the automation came in. Everybody feared that the hands and legs worker are no more required. All the steam engines and the automated factories would take over. But soon people realized that you need more workers to run them. So it created more jobs because it created more opportunities, and the productivity went up. The next revolution in the workforce, I would say, is the computer revolution. The world of office, Excel and PowerPoint and computers. Everybody suddenly felt that what will happen to all the people who are doing on the typewriting, who used to calculate, etc. They felt that jobs are gone, but it generated more workforce. The workforce only increased. Compared to these two revolutions, the third revolution which is happening now, which is the AI Gen AI revolution, is quite different, because this is also replacing some of the cognitive skills. As you rightly mentioned, the Gen AI is different, and the times have also changed. In the first two revolutions, we didn't have a connected world. We didn't have enough foresight or information about what's going to hit us. But in this era, we have a connected world. People have started talking about AI 5 years back, 6 years back, when Gen AI was still getting ready. Correct? People already know that yes, there is something coming in. It was not a surprise, and we have everything at our fingertips. You can, as you rightly mentioned, you have to upskill yourself on a regular basis. You need to know what's happening. You need to be prepared better. So people are actually are actually preparing. Like people like us who are in the leadership roles, it is mandatory for us to know prompt skills. It is mandatory for us to know how AI can be effectively used in our day-to-day work. I have going through the trainings, and I have gone through many trainings in AI, so we are better prepared. So the type of job we will do, or how we use AI in our day-to-day work might change. You rightly mentioned about the jobs report of World Economic Forum, which mentioned that there are 100 million jobs which will be lost. There are 80 million jobs which will be lost, but there will be 100 million new jobs which will be created. While the new jobs which are created may not be the similar type of jobs, it may be a completely new type of job. So uh, I wouldn't say it's doomsday. There is future for workforce, for all the talent and all the demographic dividend India has, and so much of workforce coming into the labor workforce every year. There is absolutely enough opportunity for us, and future is still bright. And there is nothing stopping India from becoming the global, powerhouse. Is what I would say. That takes me to the last question, I guess, in the interest of the time, to Rajita. This question, I'm sure you like this question. This is about ethical AI. We spoke about AI and how AI is changing the world of work, how it can impact, how it can displace jobs or replace jobs. But one question which I have, which is not part of the survey, but which is a question which always comes across when we speak about AI, is that uh, definitely AI is reshaping the industries. It changing the way we are working. But how do we ensure that there is an ethical AI implementation and it is inclusive and bias free? I'm sure that you would have seen that some of the AI first products have got biases. It is not inclusive, and there are also chances of it not being ethical. So, what are your views on that?
I would never say that this is a very easy question to answer. It's definitely an extremely tough one. And ethics overall as a topic is becoming extremely deep. And the nuances and understanding of what ethics is also varies based on two aspects. One is the people who work in the company, and two is how the company defines ethics, right? And there's a third aspect with regards to how your ecosystem or your what do I want to call it, your society and community defines ethics in that sense. So if I was to you know bring it down, I would say talking of implementing ethics becomes another agenda. Instead, when we are looking at implementing frameworks within the system, right, within an organization, it is important to build to establish clear policies for ethical AI use. Okay, including guidelines, what to avoid, to avoid biases in algorithms, ensure transparency every single time, prioritizing data privacy. If you are a global firm, there is a lot of emphasis on data privacy and how each country is now guarding it, where your data flows, how is it going to work, who's going to have access to it, which is why security of roles has become so important. So it becomes important to not just define what your ethical AI usage policy is, but also look at what industrial forums are doing, right, from that standpoint. And also maybe work along with forums like NASCOM and related to come up with policies that would make sense in the overarching scenario. The second point I would say is, for ethical AI adoption in that sense, will be diverse data representation. So you need to use diverse data sets to minimize, you spoke of biases. The more data you use, whether it's longitudinal or it's temporal, whatever you do, how are you building fairness in the system with regards to decision making, and especially in sensitive areas like hiring or specific to financial services, how does that work becomes very important. The third aspect I would say is stakeholder engagement. when you do something like this, it's important to collaborate with regulators, it's important to collaborate with academicians, it's important to collaborate with the civic or civil society, if you will, and develop frameworks that can work across industries. I come from a high tech industry, but that doesn't mean that this is only my problem. It cuts across industries. So how are we ensuring that that essentially is in place? Then fourth point is about AI for social good, right? When you are looking at AI adoption, how do you focus on deploying AI in areas of healthcare, in areas of education, in areas of agriculture, and how do you address the systemic inequalities, and improving on accesses for the underserved population, if you will. Um, and all of this is possible if you do two things, right? Bridging the digital skill gap, and the other is having inclusive AI strategy. So let me elaborate a little on what I mean by bridging the digital skill gap. It essentially means about investments in education and upskilling. It also means with regards to promoting, inclusive access, right? If you're training for white or blue or gray collar workers, through vernacular learning platforms and mobile based solutions, how do you ensure that you're including, the larger base, and what is the AI aspect of which that you're implementing? The third aspect would be collaboration with academia. I think we everybody goes back to school at some point of time or the other, and we in the fast pace, both of you have elaborated that time is of essence at the moment. So how quickly do you co-develop a curriculum that actually fits what we are trying to do will become very, very important. The fourth aspect, would be reskilling existing talent. I think you've spoken about it, so I won't really spend time. Now, if I talk of inclusive AI strategies, right, since you mentioned, in the beginning about Netflix, I want to say the other day I was watching a movie on Netflix, right, and it had subtitles from different languages, and that is a way of inclusion and using AI. So there is simple things of life that we do where AI is going to come in and is going to be beneficial from that standpoint. So maybe we should focus on women and marginalized groups. How do we ensure equitable access on AI related to that? How do we enable SME participations in this, because SMEs are essentially the backbone of the Indian economy, right? So how can they leverage on it? Localized AI solutions, right? So how will develop AI models which are tailored to socio-economic diversity within the country, and also ensure that there's relevance across rural and urban settings. So essentially, there's a lot that can happen, but prioritizing at a high level in my head across these will be helpful.
Interesting aspects. I was reading somewhere that in 2019 US presidential elections, when the Gen A was asked a question on who will win the elections, it said a man will win the election, because US has never seen a women president. But this time in 2024, when the same question was asked, it said that there's a close fight between a man and a woman. Kamala Harris and Trump. So, which means that the AI is also upgrading. It is also It is also becoming inclusive as more data is fed in the LLMs. I think the all these issues can be sorted out, and I'm sure that future we can see more ethical and unbiased AI, which will help us to be more productive. So that was my last question. So let's quickly glance through questions from audiences. We can spend next 5 minutes to go through the questions from the audiences. I can see one question from Mr. Prajal Saha. You talked about hi Deepak. You talked about where did the question go? Okay. So it was talking about what are the relevant skills. You talked about how AI wouldn't affect jobs but skills. Can you please tell us what are the key skills workers should focus on to remain relevant in an AI-driven workforce? This is a question to Mr. Deepak.
Okay, Prajal, thanks for the question. I think it's a $1,000,000 question if you ask me on what skills people should pick up. So I specifically not name the skills, but I'll tell you my perspective on this is in whatever area people are in, they have to look at AI and Gen AI as very, very important tools and figure out ways to leverage these tools to improve their effectiveness, productivity, and so on so forth in their workplace. But having said that, as things are evolving and as the nature of jobs will evolve over a period of time, as they are getting impacted by AI, Gen AI, and the other LLMs, I think what would be required for the future workforce, very, very importantly, is learning agility. I mean, you will need workers who can, because the pace of change in technology, as Sunil was mentioning, is increasing at a fairly enormous pace. So technology is moving, computing power is increasing, and so on and so forth. So you have very, very powerful tools. So, definitely learning agility will be a very, very important skill for people to have in the future, and it may define success for a lot of people. The second thing, very clearly, that I feel will be important for the workforce of the future is being very good in conceptual and spatial understanding, to be able to appreciate conceptual stuff much faster, and pick up those things very fast. The third would be adaptability. When they're moving from one situation to the other, which could be very different, the context will be very different. So, high amount of adaptability and agility will be required. And finally, I think resilience will be very important
Yeah.
because, today we see that, there are so many black swan events that are happening, right? I mean, recently, all of us saw all the Microsoft servers go down because of
Yes.
one security patch, right? So somebody uploaded it, and everything went down. So there are so many black swan, small and big black swan events. COVID was another black. So the black swan events are happening. So there are more black swans today. So people are seeing more black swans, right? So given that, I mean, people's adaptability will be tested because these situations will call upon companies and employees to adapt and still deliver despite all of these disruptions. So I think these are three or four things that come to my mind.
Thanks, Deepak. Another question to Rajita. Are Indian companies better prepared compared to their global peers in addressing the workforce challenges brought by AI, such as upskilling, transparency, and workforce anxiety?
So we recently actually, did a readiness report with regards to what's going to happen and can India be the global hub for AI, driving innovation. According to that, 85% of Indian business leaders are are actively investing in AI, and the country achieves a return on investment from these that have been surpassing global averages. So in that sense, yes, the country is ready and is ahead. But then the only point that I would like to call out is how do we maintain this is bridging the 27% skill gap on AI talent. And how do we fully harness that what do you say that gap or void that's being created in the system. So I think a couple of things that everybody needs to do, and I'll give you a bad analogy. I know we've had a lot of science in this, so I want to get to ghar ka analogy in this, and I'll give it to
Okay,
you.
that's
um,
interesting.
if you if you are cooking right at home, what do you need? In the good old days, it was just some wood and some coal, and light it up and you did it. And then as times evolved, we got the gas at home, and then you got the gas pipelines and things like that. While so that to me is AI in technology. Okay, but how you cook still remains the same. So, focusing on and going back to that question on what are the skills and how will India be on the forefront, Howard Gardner presented this or spoke about this in the year 2009. It is still relevant today. Only the tadka is changing, but the five minds or the five skills of the future are very much the same, which is about creativity. It is about having a disciplined mind. It is about having a synthesizing mind. It is about having a creative mind, about being ethical. And so, if you have all of that together and being a respectful mind, you're able to solve everything. So,
Yes.
we have the leverage of understanding and comprehending. And if you go back to 2000, 4,000 years back, we were way ahead of the world. So, I don't see a reason why India can't lead the world anymore on AI as well. That's all that I will say.
Fantastic. So, in the interest of the time, I have one last question, which is for me. So, let me take that question. So, yes, I did mention that there are 12 million people joining the workforce every year. So, the question is that, if there is only 19 percentage future ready workers in India, how are we going to fill the huge skill gap? So again, once again, just to put the numbers in perspective, the new workforce joining and the future ready workers are two different sets. The future ready workers is the workforce what is currently available. In that, we have 19% is future ready. The new workforce which is joining, the new talent which is joining the workforce, seem to be better prepared, because as I mentioned earlier, we have a connected world. We have a awareness, we have much better awareness compared to other countries. So there is a skilling, upskilling happening at various levels. Yet there is a huge skill gap. Even Deepak mentioned about a skill gap, and I think Rajita also mentioned what we should do. So there is a huge skill gap. That is one of the reasons why, if you look at, government has been pushing internship, government has been pushing AI workshops and AI hubs. Government has been coming up with various schemes, employee linked incentives, and a lot of things. Skilling department is working overboard to fill this gap. Even if you do all those things, there is going to be a skill gap. So it cannot be addressed immediately. This is a long term change which India has to address. The industry, academia, and the government have to work together. If most of you must have heard about a new education policy, which is the future way of uh, preparing the curriculum, which will ensure that the industries also join hands with the academias to prepare a curriculum which ensures that when the freshers pass out, they are job ready. Because I remember when I passed out of engineering, I did Fortran, and when I looked for a job, there are no jobs for Fortran because it's already dead. But today we don't have that situation. We are at least we can be rest assured that the curriculum is at least what we are going to do. But there is a slight gap, and that's why the new education policy, the private sector industries are now working hand in hand with academias and government to ensure that this skill gap is addressed. And as I said, the problem is enormous. It is not going to be addressed immediately, but we are making efforts in the right direction. And I'm pretty confident that the next 3 decades I mentioned, where India has got a huge demographic dividend. uh, there are efforts being made by every sector, every segment, and every industry body, government. So all this will work towards ensuring that we utilize our talent, our capability to transform India into a global superpower. And I'm very optimist. One of the reasons why I decided to come back from US and witness the kind of change what's happening in India and the opportunity in India. And I strongly believe that future is definitely bright for India. Not only future, we are already witnessing that we are being respected more. We already become the office of the globe, and more you will see that things will all land up in India. So with that, there are many more questions. We'll try to write back to them and answer. I know that this is a topic which will uh, lead to lot of questions, and we can go on and on. But with the interest of the time, I would like to thank HR Katha, uh, Rajita, Deepak. We are sorry that Mr. Rajesh could not fix his technical issue. Probably AI will in future fix that. With that note, thank you, Shubhra, and thank you, HR Katha. It was a very interesting discussion, and all the questions what were answered by the eminent panelists definitely made a lot of sense, and I definitely go back with a lot of learnings. Thank you, and thank you all the audiences for listening to this interesting debate. I'm sure that you could take away a few learnings from this session. Thank you. You're on mute, Shubhra. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much to all the panelists. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, Rajita. Thank you, Deepak, Rajesh. This has indeed been an extremely insightful session. I thank you, Adecco, for their partnership. I thank all the audience who've been here, engaged in this very interesting and very insightful discussion on AI. Look forward to many more like this. Thank you to all of you, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.